When I first spoke with Reverend Jeanne and Reverend Sherman about becoming your new ministerial intern at First UU Richmond, they asked me what I'd like to focus on and what I'd most like to learn during my time here with you. And immediately I said, administration, and they took that seriously. So this month, behind the scenes, I've been working together with Margaret Rush and other congregants, creating our generosity time, our annual stewardship campaign. Our theme this year is, we are all still in this together. Stay tuned next week for more.
Good morning, and welcome to this virtual gathering of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. My name is Suzanne Short, and I am pleased and privileged to serve this community on its board of directors. Thank you for taking time to honor our connections in the ways that we have available until we are all able to safely meet again in person. If you are a visitor here today, we are so glad that you found us. We welcome you and thank you for spending time with us and hope you will return again soon. Our church was begun in 1853 as a liberal Christian community. We are now a community of many faith journeys and beliefs, guided not by a creed, but by a covenant to uphold shared principles marked by love, respect, and justice. Our faith community continues to work together to put our UU values and principles into action to build beloved community and serve the purpose of justice for all here in the Richmond community. We welcome you to live these principles with us as you continue your spiritual journey. We welcome you with all your diverse identities as a whole and beloved person. If you are a visitor here today or new to Unitarian Universalism and would like to learn more about our faith and our community, we invite you to check out our website, join our Facebook group, and reach out to us at membership@richmonduu.org. As a reminder, please do not hesitate to reach out to our staff or our care team if you are in need. We hope you will consider joining our virtual coffee hour, which starts approximately 5 minutes after the end of the service, through a separate Zoom link available in Saturday's email and on our Facebook site. Coffee hour provides a time for us to connect with fellow church members, and if you are new to First UU or a visitor here today, an opportunity for us to get to know you better and for you to get to know us better. I would also encourage church members and visitors to tune in to our Sunday morning services 5 to 10 minutes early in order to catch the scrolling announcements. This is a good way to stay informed about things that are important and things that are happening in our church community, because there is a lot happening. Again, welcome to this joyful Sunday, made sacred by all of us being together, worshiping, and sharing time with each other.
I light this chalice with words from Conrad Wright. It is far more important to use our moral influence than our political pressure, because there are far more opportunities for moral influence than there ever will be for political pressure. Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday service. We're glad that you're spending time with us, and I hope you and your loved ones are all doing okay and that you are well. May it be so for everyone. One of the commitments we have at First Unitarian Universalism is a commitment to being a teaching congregation. We see it as a kind of ministry to the future generations of ministers in Unitarian Universalism, and we're very, very grateful for the folks who are coming into our ministry community who spend a year or two, sometimes 3 with us. We're just glad that there's a new generation that will rise to take the places of leadership in the future of Unitarian Universalism. It's great. And somebody has to provide them with internships. Reaching back, we can name people like Makana Morris, Bob Rangillian, Steve Finney, Laurie Staubitz, Leslie Takahashi, Elaine Cameron Miles, Pat Owen, Aya Simpson. The list goes on. There's a lot of new folks too coming our way right now. But we're blessed in this time to have with us Lauren Levwood. Lauren is coming to us virtually from Florida. She is serving as our intern this year and into next, and we are so glad that she can do this. She'll be our main preacher today. And I just want to say briefly something about being a teaching congregation. For every intern, we always need a committee of support, members of our church who are willing to serve as mentors to this new emerging minister. It's a kind of ministry within the church and for the faith. And if you feel like you have knowledge of our faith, a sense of community, and an understanding of the challenges that might be a part of learning how to be a Unitarian Universalist minister, we'd love to invite you to let us know. Please let me know. You can reach me at my email, which someone will now post. And we want to celebrate that we love this wonderful work we do. We do it for the whole faith. Lauren is going to be joined by other interns, and that's a good thing for us. Because as a community, when we think about what we ask of our ministers, we learn who we are as a community and as lay folk. It's a good deal. Learning how to be a community that draws up leadership, welcomes and includes all manner of persons, and discovers in one another beauty, the gifts that they bring, and the opportunities to learn. We believe in learning. So this morning, we want to welcome Lauren Levwood. We're so glad you're with us, Lauren. And we'll have at the end of this service a vestiture service, our classic service that we would be doing in the Great Hall normally, where we present to Lauren a robe, a symbol of her new role in this faith. We'll follow that with another announcement that we'd love for you to stay on for. So don't leave early. Stay with us. And welcome to a time of worship.
Shine by Kim Adana. This is your time. You are glowing under the moon. You are shining near the fire. You will arise each morning, moving yourself up to the highlands of your own heart. Keep going. Your deliciously sweet framework of brains and bones, your existence, is a miracle. But don't force a smile. Instead, honor your humanity. Speak in sentences of bouquets and thorns. Dig in the dirt and pull up the weeds of your past. Stretch the length of your body along the trunk of a tree. Raise your hand to the branches in the sky and wrap your fingers around the largest, keenest, truest fruit you can find.
Will you join me in a time of meditation? Let's be at rest in our bodies. And let us think about how we are feeling. Let us pay attention to our sensations, to the places of tightness and of ease, to the feelings in our feet and our legs, in our arms and our hands, in our back and our neck. Join me in a time of silence shared. Please join me in a time of prayer. This week, the United States passed the milestone of 500,000 deaths from COVID. The world's milestone is now at 2.5 million people. 113 or 14 million people have had the disease, many with lingering symptoms. So whether you're a prayer or a reflector, let us open our hearts and minds to the mystery that is this life and to our fragility, our vulnerability, which is in every one of us. Spirit of love and of life, we are in the space between illness and health. For some, between life and death, and for many, between waiting and vaccine. It is hard to live in the spaces between. See how the children wish to be back in their classrooms and don't wish. See how we all struggle with the need to stay home and stay safe, and the practical needs of feeding ourselves and provisioning ourselves. We are in a time of spaces in between, unable to fully occupy any place but home. Yet we can be grateful. We can celebrate the little wonders, the kindnesses we show one another, the earnest wishes to one another for safety and health, for the awareness we bear of how important it is to shake a hand, to hold an arm, to hug. We will not be the same when we are together, masked, distanced, and eventually, to know another way. We will not be the same because now we know what can happen. Help us to be positive and patient. Be a spirit of life firing in us, which helps us to imagine what goodness there is in the moment, in the day, in the week. Let us live out of that imagination. Share positivity, hope, patience, and love. Because the world needs these things. And we need to know ourselves as extending and giving them as generously as we can, as often as we can, while we are in the spaces between. May it be so.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
You've heard this month about the work of RISK, a community organizing group involving multiple churches across Richmond, all different faiths, all different races, working together to make change. This will be the last time we ask for funding for support of their work. Will you join me, please, this month in offering support to RISK so that people may be able to avoid eviction, so that people can engage in programs to avoid gun violence, so that reading is possible in the school. All these are things that RISK has concerned itself with. The offering will now be taken and gratefully received in support of RISK.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Levwood, and I'm your new Ministerial Intern at First UU Richmond. My pronouns are they or she. I'm zooming in with you today from Tallahassee, Florida, where I live with my family, my husband, William, daughter, Haya, and black cat, Muskie. Tallahassee is located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Appalachee and Muskogee or Creek Nations, and the Miccosukee and Seminole tribes. I offer my respect to the original people of this land and their descendants, and to the traditional custodians of your land in Richmond, the Powhatan Confederacy. I offer this land acknowledgement as a counter-response to the legacy of erasure enacted by settler colonialism, and a reminder for the need for repair. While I could have done without the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm genuinely grateful to be able to zoom in with you virtually from afar and become part of your community in this way during this time. Over the month of February, I've been getting to know you. Your faces have become familiar. I've heard some of your stories. This sermon is a way for you to get to know me. You already know that I'm becoming a minister. At this moment on my path, I've completed divinity school at Star King School for the Ministry, a UU seminary. I've worked as a hospital chaplain during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I've lived a full professional life that included being a dancer, a body worker, and a birth doula. Serving your congregation follows a tremendous amount of work, study, and effort, driven by my own unique constellation of attributes and affinities, impacted by time, place, culture, and my family of origin. But mostly how I got here to be with you today was approaching my life and my life's choices with a holy act of listening. Connecting the dots of my life, it's clear that the constellation of stars on the map has led me to this moment in your teaching congregation, a student of UU ministry. But no single star in the sky of my life has pointed me directly here. It's how I journeyed through those stars and the meaning that I made along the way that led me to be with you today. So let me map you that story. I went to undergrad 20 years ago at James Madison University in the nearby to Richmond city of Harrisonburg, Virginia, where my studies focused on mainly three things: modern dance, interdisciplinary philosophy, and creative writing. While I didn't even yet know that Unitarian Universalism existed, when I tell people about that background today, I often get this kind of response. Wow, performance art, philosophy, and writing? You sure couldn't have picked a better preparation for UU ministry. It's true. People really do say that. And it's true. When I look back on these studies, it's clear to me that I was seeking truth, and that my propensity for truth-seeking led me to UU ministry and is part of why I'm here with you today. You see, it's not just my story, but how I tell the story and how I let the story speak that maps the constellation of my journey onto my life's sky. When I tell people that I was raised Southern Baptist, that my father, Ren, went to seminary and school for social work, and that my mother, Sandra, was a teacher and a librarian, and that both of my parents were lovers of stories. When I tell them that I learned from my father the love of God and the love of religion, all religion, and not only that, but the love of people that my father and my Baptist church taught me to aspire to love all people the way that God loves all of us. And when I tell them that I left the Baptist church, not in spite of being Baptist, but because of it, walking away from a community where my ancestors had worshiped for more than 4 generations, because I sought a religious identity that aligned with the universal love that I was taught as a child. You know what they say? They often say, wow, well, you were raised Baptist, but it's clear that your early religious formation prepared you for UU ministry. And it's partially true. My life has been a preparation for UU ministry. But it also didn't have to be this way. It was the way that I listened and the way that I chose to respond and the way that I mapped my stars. When I tell people that at 16 I read the book Siddhartha and at 17 the Tao Te Ching, and that when I left the tiny peanut farming town of Windsor to move to Harrisonburg, the biggest city I'd ever lived in at the time, I took with me Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. When I tell people that in my 20s I embarked not only towards a bachelor's degree and a journey into the larger world, but I entered a period of religious exploration that led me first to other Christian denominations, and then Sikhism through Kundalini Yoga, and then Buddhism, and eventually Sufism and Judaism, and that Jewish renewal remains a spiritual home for me and for my family today. When I tell this to people, and when I say that I identify as Unitarian Universalist and multi-religious, well, you can guess what I'm going to tell you that they say. They say, wow, you couldn't have picked a better preparation for Unitarian Universalist ministry. And it's partially true. All of that exploration did prepare me to be in a multi-religious, diverse community with you as a UU. But it also didn't have to be this way. I chose this, and it was the way that I listened, and the way that I responded, and the way that I mapped my stars. And then there's the story of my body. There's a story of my life as a dancer, and a body worker, and a birth and postpartum doula, and a mother, and a survivor of trauma. My body story. When I tell people that all of my life I've been a student of the body, following the thread of my body and other people's bodies, and what it means to have a body and give birth to bodies and take care of bodies, and how we show up and inhabit our bodies, our body memories, and the history of bodies, and how we mourn and grieve our bodies. They say, no. They don't actually say, wow, you couldn't have picked a better preparation for UU ministry. People usually don't say that. But each of these things did prepare me for UU ministry. Dancing taught me to listen to the spirit that moves from within. Being a doula taught me to listen to others as they labored to bring new life, and sometimes to mourn new death as they endeavored to bring life into the world. Parenthood has taught me patience and perseverance and deeper love and how to nurture life as it grows. My life has prepared me for this moment, for this time, to be here with you today and for this season. It was the way that I listened, the way I responded, and it's the way I'm mapping my stars. Being a parent, being a friend, being a spouse, and a community member, they're all also part of my identity. Let me tell you, relationships are some of the hardest and holiest work. And speaking of hard and holy work, my spouse William and I have been on that journey for a long time. I met him as a fellow dancer over 20 years ago, and together we have lived in 6 states since then, and not only birthed a child, but birthed ourselves professionally in different ways, including both journeying professionally to become Unitarian Universalist ministers. William just happened to jump into the pool a little bit before me, and we live in Florida now because he serves as lead minister of the UU Church in Tallahassee. So that's why I'm here. I've told you some stories about me. Now let me talk about you. Let me tell you why I'm now also not just here in Tallahassee, but there with you at your congregation in Richmond. Why I choose you, and I do choose you. I choose you to be my teaching congregation because your reputation precedes you. Your congregation is led by a powerful, diverse team of ministers dedicated to social justice and committed to providing a learning ground for the UU ministers of the future. Your congregation is a forerunner in our denomination, already having embraced the 8th UU principle, and in so doing, you covenant to affirm and promote, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by your actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in yourselves and in our institutions. I'm here because I want to be in a community that covenants to do that, and I know we're not there yet. But I want to be part of bringing that into being. I also choose you because of your location. The Tidewater area of Virginia is my ancestral home. It's a place that I've run from and returned to. It's a place where I learned the roots of racialized trauma, and it's a place where I learned to love. It's a place where I feel a responsibility to show up and participate in the healing that needs to happen. It's a place where I want to show up, to participate in the healing of trauma that lives in our bodies and in our personal and collective memories, and continues to be perpetuated on stolen Indigenous land. And I believe your congregation aspires to do this work and will help me learn how to better do this work in a place where I feel ancestrally responsible to participate in the ministry of that work and in our healing. So now you know more about me. You know where I'm from, why I'm here, why I choose you. And I look forward to learning more with you and discovering who we are together and how we map the stars of our constellation. May it be so, and may we be the ones to make it so. Amen, 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 and blessed be.
The old ones look out to the islands. They say this place is endless thin. There's no real distance here to mention. We might all fall in, No distance to the spirits of the living. No distance to the spirits of the dead. And as they turned, their eyes were shining. They proudly said, I feel so near to the howling of the winds. I feel so near to the crashing of the waves. I feel so near to the flowers in the fields. I feel so near. So we build our tower constructions, there to mark our place in time. We justify our great destructions as on we climb, Now the journey doesn't seem to matter. The destination's faded out, and gathering out along the headland, I hear the children shout, I feel so near to the howling of the winds. I feel so near to the crashing of the waves. I feel so near to the flowers in the fields. I feel so near. I feel so near to the howling of the winds. I feel so near to the crashing of the waves. I feel so near to the flowers in the fields. I feel so near to the howling of the winds. I feel so near to the crashing of the waves. I feel so near to the flowers in the fields. I feel so near.
Hello. Nearly 50 years ago, I learned through a friend that a church she and her husband had recently started attending was looking for a choir director. Was I interested? Sure, I said. Why not? And here I am today, nearing the end of a great journey of bringing people together in making music to create deeper connections in worship and with each other. It's been a great privilege. At our staff retreat in 2020, we talked about the future. It was then I voiced my intention to retire at the end of our 3-year lectionary cycle in June of 2021. COVID came soon after and changed so much, but it didn't change my decision. And so, at the end of June, my time as your music director will end. But only that will end. Not my commitment to this UU community, not my need for your fellowship, not my spiritual journey within this faith. I've been asked, what will I do? Well, the short answer is I will continue to grow in search of wisdom. I'll continue to care in support of communities, all my communities, and to act in service of justice in all aspects of my life. Thank you all so very, very much.
Thank you all for your time. A lot went on there. We're so glad you came with us for this service. Thank you to all our musicians, everyone who had a hand in this. And as we extinguish this chalice, let us receive the blessing that is being a part of a teaching congregation. We have the opportunity to be with emerging ministers as they are learning how and where and why our crazy faith is at work in your heart. Do not hesitate to share that with them. And we'll see you here next week. Blessed be everyone. Have a tremendous and safe week.
Come thou fount of every blessing, to our hearts to sing thy praise. Streams of mercy never ceasing, all the songs of love and praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the light